Yes. What do you think? If the queen was extravagant, who was responsible for that extravagancy? Yes? All right. So we are saying the king was
According to what we
Yes?
know,
Mm,
the king was very submissive to his wife, and therefore had
mm,
her extravagance affected the kingdom in that she used to host very many balls at the
mm,
palace that were very
yeah.
expensive, and yet France
Mm,
was already economically
bankrupt.
backward.
Mm. So the okay, I am seeing another hand here. All right. So I am saying that the queen's extravagancy was because of the king's weakness. The queen was extravagant and the king was watching, and therefore the king is responsible for that extravagance. Yes, I see another hand. Anybody else has a different idea? Okay, maybe we continue. Let us continue to the next one. He passed the military law of 1781, and the law restricted portion in the army to only nobles. It was, in other words, recruitment and promotion in the army was only reserved for the nobles and the clergy, and that's partly why the revolution broke out. And then let's go to the other factors that caused the revolution. What are the other factors now? You guys should be giving me these points. Apart from the role of the king, what else was responsible? What else caused the revolution in France? Other causes of the French Revolution, very fast. Some of them we have already mentioned them. The role of the American War of Independence, uh-huh, the influence of the Queen, he'll advise the King, the role of the philosophers, people like Montesquieu and Voltaire, they caused the revolution. The nature of the ancient regime and how it caused the revolution, we all know that. The effect of social class division in France, how the nobles competed with the clergy in terms of privileges, and how the peasants suffered. That is another one, grievances of the middle class and the peasants' financial crisis, and the calling of the Estates General meeting. And lastly, a standpoint is what? Is required. Now look at number two. Number two. Is that question two-sided or it is one-sided? The reign of terror was inevitable. Discuss. What do you think? The
It is
reign of terror,
one-sided.
three-sided. Take us through the three sides.
It is one-sided.
One-sided. Yeah. The question is one-sided. It just asks you to explain the causes of what? The reign of terror. Simple. So you only give us a background of the reign of terror and then you explain to us what caused the reign of terror. Now, during the second phase of the French Revolution, which is commonly known as the reign of terror, who was the leader? Who were the dominant people during the reign of terror? The dominant leaders.
Teacher, this is the lower class people, including Robespierre.
Mm, yes. Maximilian Robespierre. We also that was the Maximilian Robespierre was the president of the Jacobin Club, the most dominant political club, the most extremist radical political club, the strongest political club was the Jacobin Club led by Maximilian Robespierre. Then we had another political club that was called the Girondin Club. The Girondin Club was led by Danton. And then we also had other groups. We had the Herbatists, who were led by Herbert. So during that time, there's a lot of bloodshed, there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of insecurity, and campaigns of extermination and elimination in France. So the Reign of Terror was a period in France that was characterized by a lot of bloodshed, a lot of death, a lot of chaos, a lot of insecurity, and that period was dominated by Maximilian Robespierre. So what were the causes of the Reign of Terror? Students of History Senior 6C, what were the causes of this Reign of Terror we are talking about here? Who can take us through some causes of the Reign of Terror so that we move faster? Yes. Some causes of the Reign of Terror.
The civil constitution of the clergy, even the rule of the political parties.
Yes.
The emergence was poison by Abati. Then the threat of immigrants. Among
others. Very good. And I'm glad that you are recalling these points of head, meaning that you understood the French Revolution and specifically the Reign of Terror very, very well. But some of the points are there, as you can see. We have the revolution broke out in 1789. Without the outbreak of the revolution, perhaps the Reign of Terror would not be possible. But because the revolution broke out and the king was adamant, and the people in France decided to use force, the Reign of Terror became inevitable.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes.
Teacher,
I'm listening.
Decided not to it.
Where?
Am I being heard? Am I being heard?
Yes, I am hearing you loud and clear.
Just for clarity,
So
you said that the question is one-sided. Am I being heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
just for
I'm
clarity,
hearing you.
Yes, just for clarity, you say that the question is one-sided, but when you look at the question, it's supposed to be two-sided, not one-sided.
Yes. So let me ask you also, what would you write on the other side?
The first side is supposed to bring in the causes of the Reign of Terror. Then on the other side, you bring in the what? The effects. Because remember, it was inevitable and telling us to discuss. Because it would have been one-sided. It was discuss the causes of terror. But the discuss comes in at the end of the question. Yes.
Okay. I get you very well. But in this case, the question is one-sided because there is nothing else you can write on the other side. So the question is one-sided, my brother. Let's proceed. Look at number 3, the presence of several revolutionary leaders that was mentioned by someone. The presence of immigrants. Those are people who had left France because of insecurity. And so they were now living in neighboring countries like some of them were living in Austria, some of them were living in Prussia. So they were threatening to come back and restore the king with all his powers. So the people of France were forced to apply force because peace was not working. The emergence of several political clubs that was also
teacher.
Yes.
Hello, teacher.
I am
so
hearing
confused with those I'm so
With what?
confused with immigrants and that loyalist. Teacher told us the immigrants were villages, and
Where what?
were the killers. I too confused with the loyalist and that immigrants. So explain more about the immigrants and loyalists so that I can understand.
Immigrants and the royalists. Is that your question? Okay, I have got here. You've written the royalists. Okay. Is there anyone who wants to explain to us who were the royalists? And is it possible that the royalists later also became the immigrants? All right. So the royalists, these were the members of the royal family and their immediate relatives, like King Louis the 16th and his relatives. Those are the royalists. They are coming from the royal family. Now, who were the immigrants? The immigrants, these were people who ran and went out of France during the revolution. And now they were living in different countries, but their motive was to reorganize themselves and come back and support King Louis the 16th, who was now in danger. So that means that it is possible to mix the two, that a royalist could have become an immigrant, because if you're coming from the royal family and then you step outside France, you are still a royalist, but you are also an immigrant. So some of the immigrants were royalists, but most of the immigrants were not royalists. They were nobles and clergy. So,
Excuse me,
yes.
teacher. I thought that the royalists were the people who supported the French Revolution, and the immigrants were the people who didn't support the French Revolution. So I think the immigrants and royalists aren't the same people.
I think we are mixing two words here: a royal and a loyal. Are you getting it? A royalist comes from the royal family. A loyalist is a sympathizer or a supporter. So a royalist is not a loyalist. The people who were supporting the royal family and they are sympathizing with the royal family, those were the loyalists. But we also have the royalists. Those were people who were coming from the royal family. I don't know whether I have made it a little clear. Yes, someone else's hand is here. You have something to say?
Adding to Calvin's point, according to what we know, it's like the royalists are they're members from the royal family, and the immigrants are the people who left France, right? So that means that all royalists are part of the immigrants. Not all, most of the royalists are part of the immigrants, because the royalists, most of them also left France due to the French Revolution during the Reign of Terror, because they were threatened.
Yes.
So that's what Calvin was trying to say.
Okay. Thank you. I am seeing this a very engaging lesson. I like it. We proceed. The next point, what is that? The execution of the king and his wife. Who was executed first, the king or the wife?
Sir, it's the king who was executed first on 21st of January, 1793.
1793, the king was executed, and the queen was left under the protection of Marcus Lafayette. But Marcus Lafayette was the queen's worst enemy, and the queen was now to remain under his protection. So 9 months later, the queen requested to be executed. The queen He wrote a letter to his children, to her children, and promised that she's going to remain very, very strong throughout the execution process. So the queen was arranged. They placed her on a cart, paraded her on the streets for people to see how she's going to die. But it is recorded that shortly before the queen reached the execution point, the queen collapsed and died on her own. So that is the strength she was meaning when she was writing the letter to her children. But anyway, the queen died also after the execution. But what was the impact of that? The impact was that it caused a lot of attack from the neighboring countries, especially coming from Austria. But within France, it's important for us to recall that the king had many supporters. Many people did not like the king, but they did not wish him to die. The same with the queen. So their execution caused a lot of bloodshed in France. That was actually the reign of what? Terra. Then the death of Mirabeau. How did the death of Mirabeau cause the reign of terror? How did the Mirabeau's death cause terror in France, people? Yes.
Count Mirabeau was a revolutionary, but he advocated for peace. Like he wanted he used peaceful means, and he did not want to destroy the ancient regime. He just wanted them to make changes in their ways of administration. So his death brought about the rise of violent revolutionaries like Robespierre, who led to terror in France.
In France, true, very good. It is on record that he even predicted that his demise would lead to the collapse of the monarchy. So it is true, it is correct for us to conclude that the reign of terror was caused by the death of Mirabeau. Then we have the attack on the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church was one of the centers of attack, and it's important to remember that the attack on the Catholic Church caused division within the church, but also division within the society that later led to terror. And lastly, the declaration of war on revolutionary France also caused the reign of terror. Then you have other causes down here, dismissal of these financial controllers. We talked about them. Necker, Turgot, and Brienne, when they were dismissed, the people became unruly. The people became very violent because they realized that the monarchy is not interested in reform. And then we had the formation of the new assembly. All right, let's go to the next question. Number 3. Examine the impacts of the reign of terror. I mean, the impacts of the French Revolution of 1789 on France. Someone is asking a question? You guys, if they ask you just questions about impacts of events and questions about causes of events, which questions would you prefer? Causes or effects of events? Imagine they have asked you, examine the causes of the French Revolution. That's one of the questions. Then the other question they ask you, examine the effects of the French Revolution. Which question would you choose? They ask you to discuss the causes of the French Revolution. Question 1. The next question is discuss the effects of the French Revolution. Which one would you choose?
For me, I can choose the causes of the French Revolution.
Why? Why would you choose the causes and not the effects? Okay. Now, if students are asked, from my own experience, when students are faced with causes of events, they tend to excel. When students are faced with the effects of the same events, there's a tendency of students not explaining it very well. What am I trying to say here is that when you're reading, please read the whole topic. Most people read, but they don't finish the topic. Like now, you may find people know the causes of the reign of terror, causes of the French Revolution, causes of what, but they struggle with it. The same students struggle with the effects of those same events. And therefore, if you are not very lucky and your paper is set and it has many questions relating to effects, automatically that paper becomes difficult for students. I think the last time I saw a difficult paper, that was, I think, 2019. Yeah, I think around 2019, even 2017 was a difficult paper for students. But 2019 had 6 questions on effects. So that paper became very difficult for many students because they answered, but they wrote few points. So if you have decided to choose a question that is on effects, please make sure you have written very many effects, because remember, we have positive effects and also negative effects. And therefore, the questions on effects, students should choose, but choose with care. That is one area you need to know, to take note on. So C, examine the impacts of the French Revolution. So what were the effects of the French Revolution? Students of Syria 6C, what were the effects of the French Revolution? We know very many of them. Please take me through. Yes? I can see, I think in the chat section, I'm not getting responses. Yes? Stacy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can take us through some of the effects.
One of the effects is that the classes, the division of the classes, it causes.
It ended. Okay. Class division ended. Any other? Okay. Are you seeing what I'm sharing? Or you've stopped seeing? Let me share it again and people see the effects. There are many, so that we run through the effects very fast. You can see class discrimination changed, ended, or class division ended. But I think it only reduced. I don't think class discrimination totally ended, but it reduced in France. If I may ask, do we still have class stratification in real society today? Do we have people living according to their classes? Yes, Carlos.
No.
There's nothing like class division today. In your society where you live?
There is.
It is there.
Sorry, sir.
It is there, I agree. Someone is saying no.
For me, on the
yes, I'm asking that, do we still have class division in our society today? And someone is saying yes, it is there. I'll give an example. Where I work in an international school, and it is very expensive. But we also have we have teachers who are also working there. But do you know that there's only children don't study there? they take their children to study outside. There's a van that comes to pick them. So what do you think is that? Class what? Class division. So everybody knows where they belong. That's why your parent will pick you and take you very far, a school that he thinks is fit for you. Sometimes it is a school that is very expensive because he thinks the school around, that is not his class. Sometimes he takes you very far to a school that he thinks is for you because the schools around are what? Are expensive. That explains why people pick their children from Kampala, take them to study in Jinja. Others, they take them to study in Iganga. Others, they take them very far because class division is real. So it is true that class division is still one, is still there. That's why you find some people live in Muyenga, others live in Kololo, while others live in Kireka, others live in where you get it, because class division is there and it is real. So it reduced in France. So I had people who had their hands up. What were you saying? Stace.
For me, according to me. According to
me. Yes?
Yeah, it is still there.
It is still there.
Yeah, it is there.
And it is very serious now.
Yeah.
Very, very serious. That's why some people fly first class, others fly which class? Economy.
Second class.
Yeah. That means that, yes, even people now know when you go to the airport, they ask you, should we book you first class? You say, no, I want economy. That means it is there. All right, somebody read for us and take us through the effects. They are there outlined in what I've said to you. Yes, who wants to read those effects there? Yes? Nobody is ready. Okay, Carlos, are you ready to take us through the effects? Please go on. Go on.
We have class discrimination ended in France.
Mm-hmm.
It eroded the Catholic Church influence in French politics. It led to the conflict between France and other countries. The taxation system in France was improved. The constitution was drafted for France. The land that hitherto belonged to the clergy and nobility was nationalized. The parliamentary system was restored in France. Nepotism was abolished. The system of career open to all men was introduced. Education sector was reformed.
Yes. Continue.
Emergence of political pluralism, massive loss of lives and property, led to wars between France and other countries. Then we have a conclusion.
Yes. So you can see. Yes.
I have some challenges when it comes to conclusions. Comes to those conclusions, how to generate a proper conclusion.
How to generate it.
Yeah.
Okay. A conclusion is another way of saying goodbye. You can say goodbye in many ways. I know some people, when they are leaving where they have gone to visit, they just disappear. Those are the people who don't write conclusions. But also have people hold out. They will say goodbye in words. They will hug the host, and after that, they will smile and walk while looking behind. That all those are different ways of saying conclusions. But a conclusion is your own opinion that you write. And I want to give you a very simple way of concluding. Like in this case, if you said the French Revolution that broke out in 1789 ended in 1799, it had many effects. Were the effects not many? There were many. Some
There
of
were
the
many.
effects, yes, some of the effects were social, others were political, others were economic.
Sorry.
Yes, were they not social, political, and economic? They were like that. Some of the effects were long-lasting, and yet some of the effects were short-lived. As explained above, you have concluded. Yes. So the conclusion should be your last remark, that should not waste all your energy, that should not waste your time, and you write in general words like we have said. Like I said, you can say in this case, the French Revolution had very many effects. Some were political, others were social, others were economic. Some were long-lived, others were short-lived, as explained above. That conclusion is perfect. You can conclude in another way, but I always encourage students that write history in your simple language. Don't copy the teacher's language. Don't copy the language in the textbook and struggle. You will make mistakes. Write your own language. As long as it is correct, we are going to mark you as you. So don't copy from anywhere, just write in your own language. If the question maybe had a standpoint, that's when you can repeat the standpoint in your what? In your conclusion. So I hope I have answered you who was asking the question about a conclusion.
Yeah.
Right. So let us now go to the next question here. Discuss the factors that led to the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte in France. Discuss the factors that led to the rise of Napoleon Bonaparte in France. What do we write in the introduction? I know in many books, in many circles, in many ways, usually the introduction of that man, Napoleon Bonaparte, covers a minimum of half a page, or sometimes even a full page. But is that important when you're answering a question? Should we write everything about Napoleon? When we are introducing, and you should only write what is what? Relevant. Let me ask you now. Imagine you have been confronted by a teacher. You're going to join a new school, and the person who's in charge of admission asks you this simple question. Tell me a bit about yourself. What do you think the person is looking for?
I think the person wants just maybe a biography, small biography about yourself.
Your academic what? History is what the person is looking for. Supposing you meet, yes? Supposing you meet your pastor, you have gone to a new church, and then the pastor asks you, please tell me about yourself. What is the pastor interested in? Your religious what? History. The pastor wants to know, are you baptized? Have you been saved? How long have you been born again? All those things. So what am I trying to bring here? That do not write the same introduction each time they ask you a question, because the introduction depends on the person, or let us say the introduction depends on the context in which the question has been what? Asked. Like in this case, they are asking you, discuss the causes or discuss the factors that led to the rise of Napoleon. So do not waste a lot of time telling us irrelevant things about Napoleon. So like I said in the first question, please only write what is relevant. In this case, tell us, when was Napoleon born? Where was Napoleon born? Who were his parents? You may not even tell us his siblings, not necessary, but tell us those very important key issues about Napoleon. When was he born? Who were his parents? Where was he born? As you write where he was born, you're going to explain to us that the province where Napoleon was born in was annexed by France just a year before Napoleon was born, implying that Napoleon was born a Frenchman. So once you've done that, you're going to find yourself, you have given an introduction that is relevant. In about 4 or 5 lines, you have given your introduction, and then concentrate on the one, on the body of the essay. Concentrate on the body of the essay. So, as you can see there, the factors that led to the rise of Napoleon, blah, 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 blah. Then, let us go to the body. How did the French Revolution lead to the rise of Napoleon? Who wants to explain to us the role of the French Revolution in the rise of Napoleon? The French Revolution was responsible for the rise of Napoleon because it cleared all the obstacles that Napoleon would have faced if the revolution was not there. The French Revolution also gave Napoleon the revolutionary catchwords that he later used for mobilization. For example, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Those were revolutionary catchwords that Napoleon used, and it made him to rise to power. Other factors that led to the rise of Napoleon: his political ambition. Napoleon was very ambitious. They say Napoleon was so ambitious that they compare his ambition with the claws of a cat that is designed to climb up and not to come down. Because of Napoleon's ambition, he was able to rise to power. The Directorate government. How was the Directorate government responsible for the rise of Napoleon? The Directorate government was so weak and it depended greatly on who? On Napoleon. But also some of the directors were Napoleon's friends, and some of them were his relatives. For example, Lucien Bonaparte, who was Napoleon's elder brother. And then you had Barras, who was Napoleon's personal friend. All those were directors in the Directorate government. So it was easy for Napoleon to defeat the Directorate government. Then we had the military campaigns that Napoleon commanded. Which are these military campaigns we are talking about here? The Italian campaign of 1796, and then the Egyptian campaign of 1798. All these campaigns made Napoleon very popular. Whereas the Egyptian campaign did not work, the people of France were still happy that Napoleon did not die. But the Italian campaign succeeded very well. And therefore, Napoleon rose to power largely because of such campaigns. Then see Napoleon's education in those military schools of Brienne and later Paris. Napoleon became very lucky to join those military academies, but his education made him be appointed the commander in France after the French Revolution. Then the army Napoleon commanded, it believed in him. That's why he was able to take them to the Italian campaign and brought back victory. It believed in him. That's why they followed him or accepted him to take them for the Egyptian campaign. Much as the Egyptian campaign was a fiasco, it's important to recall that the army was still happy that Napoleon was in charge. Then you had the coup d'etat of 1799. Napoleon was able to organize that coup with the help of his brother and other army officials. Then we had luck. Is it true that Napoleon was lucky? How did luck lead to the rise of Napoleon? Carlos.
Okay.
Yes, we are listening.
For me, I had a question before that.
You can ask and we continue.
Yeah. So in history, when it comes to quotes, are they used at any point or anywhere?
You can quote, but quoting does not add you any maxi. Quoting is good, but are you going to quote exactly what is in the book and tell us the source? That is what quoting rightly means, that you tell us that in this book it is said that Napoleon said this on page this. If you're able to do that, then you have quoted properly. But there's a way people quote. They write statements and they put it in inverted commas and they say that is the quote. It doesn't add any value to your essay. It is as good as writing your essay without putting those what? Those those inverted commas of yours. So what is important is having the facts. And by the way, a quote is not a fact. A quote is an opinion. Yes. So we need to distinguish between facts and opinions. So we need to know that cramming those quotes are good, but it's not going to add value to your essay. So I say that quoting is not necessary. Those people have, you're going to find people have notes that have quotes. Those are notes of long ago. Study them and see. In modern notes, we don't have those quotes. And therefore, in modern writing of history, we do not emphasize those quotes. You can cram them. They are very sweet when you are talking, but when you are writing, it doesn't add any weight. Any other question? Okay, somebody else had something to add. Praise, you had something to add or you wanted to explain something? Yes?
Yeah, Master, you had asked about Napoleon. How did his luck, like how could, yeah.
Yes.
Like I feel like Napoleon was lucky to be born just 1 year after. Like France had annexed his how can I explain
his motherland.
His when he was born, just his motherland, Costa, and then he was also lucky to study in the military academies where he gained skills, yet he was not a noble.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like that's how he was lucky.
Okay. I am asking now the second question. Just before I give the chance to this person, Sandy. Imagine you get admitted into Oxford and you're from Uganda. What do you think is going to be on the news? Are they not going to put you on the front page on the newspaper? They'll put you on the front page. They'll write about you on Facebook. They'll write about you everywhere. The Ugandan who has been admitted where? Oxford. Because it is a prestigious university. And that is how we are trying to relate it with who? With Napoleon. Going to the military school of Brienne was not Napoleon's portion because he was from a very poor family. But with the connection of his father, they secured for him a scholarship. So that made him very popular, very, very popular. Right. Let's see, Sunday, what were you saying? Sunday, your hand was up. Okay. So let us see other factors. We are running towards the end of our lesson, but let us see. Napoleon was very courageous. Because of his courageous character, he was able to command the Italian campaign that led to success. Because of his courage, he was able to command the Egyptian campaign that was a fiasco, but still made him very popular. And Napoleon was an orator. Napoleon was a propagandist. Napoleon was a good public speaker. So we are saying, because of his ability to speak so well in public, many people trusted him, and that's why he was able to capture power in France. They say that when Milton Obote came back from exile, you remember Milton Obote was overthrown and he ran to exile. So when he was coming back, he landed in Bushenyi. And when he arrived, of course, many people were very happy to see him. So there was a public rally. They say Obote cried. Obote cried and started eating soil. And he said he was missing Uganda so much. And he said he will never run away from the people of Uganda. But it did not take long. Obote was again running away. Why did the people of Uganda trust him even after running away and coming back for the second time? It is because he was a good public speaker. So in other words, for any good leader, you need to be good in public speech. That is how Napoleon was also able to capture the attention of the people of France. Okay. Now, members, we have discussed up to number 4. Up to number 4. So I am going to share this document with you in the WhatsApp group of Senior 6. And then I will ask you guys who are remaining here to share these numbers so that you'll discuss the next time we have a lesson. Is that okay with you people? From number 5 up to number 10, the questions are there, the answers are also there. You can also have your own research so that you discuss next time when we meet.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Before you go, you talked of the WhatsApp group of Senior 6. Is it this very group of holistic that we are in? Okay.
I'm going to share this document here, this PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to post it there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so you people will share the numbers accordingly. I see Stace, you have something to say? Okay. If nobody has anything to add, I must say you guys have been an amazing class. I have enjoyed my lesson with you. Have a good evening.
Same to you.
Bye. I go to mom. And then I end this.
Thank you, sir, but you don't talk about the other papers.
Paper 1 and paper 6, eh? I think we are going to I think we are going to share more. Let us share more in the group, huh? In the WhatsApp group. I am there.
But it is only the admins who can speak in the group.
Seriously?
Yes.
Okay.
And
okay.
It is not only the people who do paper 1 and paper 6. There is also us who do paper 2.
I think we are going to give attention to all the people. We are going to give all of you guys attention. Don't worry. I know the majority of us do paper 1. I know a couple of people do paper what? Paper 6. And now you who does paper 2. We want to be as fair as possible so that we give everybody a fair chance to excel. I can teach all the papers, but teacher Stephen is going to guide. We may have another teacher who may handle one of the other papers. But for now, I am your teacher of paper 3. I can teach paper 1, paper 6, even paper 2. So let us share more in the group. I'm going to share these concerns with teacher Stephen so that we find how best we can handle so that everybody is given a fair chance. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. One by one, yeah.